Redditors who have hired a private investigator, what did you discover?
My coworker hired one to track down his first car he ever owned so he could buy it back. Cleanest T28 I've ever seen, in person that is. I worked for a private investigator. The dumbest cases were when people filed fraudulent workers' comp cases and then posted pictures all over their social media of themselves skydiving and shit when they alleged that they couldn't even walk. It was unbelievable the videos and pictures people would post after filing these claims with companies who had shit tons of money. My aunt hired a PI because she suspected her husband of cheating on her. The stereotypical "why does he have to stay at work for so long all of the sudden?" Instead she found out that he stayed at work after he was done so he could play poker and crack a cold one in peace. When she confronted him about it, he got so mad, flying into a rage that he confessed to her how annoying and controlling she actually is. They worked it out, saved their marriage and built a house though. Friend hired a private investigator to look into her boyfriend who she thought was cheating on her. The dude wasn't cheating, he was plotting his proposal.
A relative of mine who was cheating on his wife hired an investigator because he was suspicious that his wife was having an affair with another man. Can you believe this? My vindictive aunt hired one to spy on me and the guy found out quite a bit about me, like my dental records and stuff. I mean, I'm a pretty boring person with nothing to hide so the guy didn't find much to use against me.
My wife and I adopted our son from another country when he was 3. You don't get many records, but we did have the national ID number for his birth mom. We hired a PI to track down his family. He found the birth mom, older sister, and younger sister on the way. We have a recorded interview between the PI and birth mom where she shares how our son's pregnancy was a secret, not even her teenage daffer knows, and how she feared she could not care for him. We share some photos of our son with the birth mom and talk back and forth a little bit, awkwardly, through Google Translate. Our son's birth family knows about him now and I think are getting in touch is the reason she kept her new baby. The mom appears to be concerned for his well-being and wants to make sure he plays soccer and not American football. When our son is older we plan to share all this with him and let him decide if he would like to meet them. Some of the best money we ever spent.
Had one used against me. Thanks current father-in-law. He found out that I was seriously a desperately boring person. Aside from my boring work and education history, he learned of 2 of my exes and the fact that they were pretty boring too. Though one sadly struggled with an eating disorder. I don't think he knew what. Yak played World of Warcraft with his last ex. A lot meant, but yeah, he learned I was adopted and had grown up with a very nice pair of parents. Non-bio, obviously. You know, until this second, I assumed he had wasted his money, and ended up with literally no interesting info. I'm kinda curious if the guy found out about my bio parents, and wonder if that colored his view of me.
An affair that my wife had been lying to me about for a year. I got incredibly damning photos that I'd texted to both of them just after calling my wife on the phone and having her lie to me once more.
So not me, but my father. My parents have been divorced for over 10 years and are still fighting over the house and inheritance, as well as furniture, and much more. We found out that he hired a private investigator who spied on the entire family. We are 4 people, without counting my father. We do not know who the PI is. So it's possible that this person is still spying on us. We also have no clue if the PI has only spied on my mother, but on me and my other family members. But one thing is certain. My father knows everything. We have him blocked on all social media accounts. He can only communicate via phone calls and WhatsApp. But he knows what we are doing. He even knows when we go on vacation. You guys left the house for 2 weeks and went to the beach. Don't lie to me. I know. I swear to you. If you are being followed by a PI, assume that they can see you take a SHT inside your own house. It's disturbing.
X, I've hired them for incredibly boring reasons.
I work as a lawyer, and occasionally I'll need a document from a courthouse that's too far away for me to just go there
and pick it up.
Occasionally the courthouse staff will refuse to make copies and mail them to me. So I've hired a few PIs to pick up what I needed. My parents hired one for my ex-boyfriend while we were still together during the last year of our relationship. With my permission, we were together for 7 years.
Things they found out and passed on to me.
My ex had a second apartment that was in my name that he was splitting with another guy. Not sure how he managed that because he was home with me every night. Second apartment was 2 miles away from our place at the time. Ex had second bank account hidden from me which he deposited half his salary into to pay for his part of the rent over there. Ex had second car which he would drive when he went to go hang out with that guy. Second guy had no idea about me. Was cheating on both of us with at least 2 other guys as well. Seemed none of us knew about each other. Ex had HIV which he hid from at least me, maybe his others as well. He would keep his scripts in the car. Ex had been fired from his previous job and was working for a totally new company.
Ex also had a huge life insurance policy on me.
I'm talking huge. I was young and naive when we first got together and never asked questions about the paperwork I was signing because I trusted him and thought him having me go to the doctors for the yearly physical was just part of what I needed to do to keep our regular health insurance. He was also very controlling and manipulative, so I didn't really have much of an option but to believe him. This all started because we could never figure out why we were always broke and how we could never pay our bills on time. My parents expected a gambling problem. Not all of this. I'm sure they found out more stuff, just didn't tell me about it. Which I'm totally okay with. I had one hired against me, and they found out everything. Tattoos that aren't visible normally. The address I lived in a different country. Medical records from an accident that happened 6 years prior.
So many random things that aren't publicly available.
That the guy I sold my car to and who then got me 3 speeding tickets before I could change the details over doesn't keep his address up to date and moves roughly every 6 months.
Copy and paste from a story I posted on a thread about coworkers who imploded. I didn't hire the PI but did help my company hire one.
Years ago when I was working at a small engineering firm, we fired a soil technician after a week. Well, kind of.
When he came in for his first day, he was wearing slacks, button-up shirt, and a tie, which was odd because soil techs spend most of their time in the field on site. Usually pre-foundation, so lots of mud and dirt. Plus most of your job involves digging test pits and/or taking soil density readings. Important later. Which guarantees you're going to be filthy at the end of the day. Standard dresses, Carhartts, steel toe boots,
and shirt, maybe one with the company logo as you're feeling fancy. Couple people who worked with him those first days immediately commented that there was just something off with him but couldn't put a finger on it, so we invited him to come grab a beer with
us after work one day to see what was up. We sit down and after a pitcher he starts up about he can only have 4 or 5 beers because he had to go pick up his girlfriend's kid from school in an hour. Because his girlfriend is doing a 2-month stint in county for getting caught with a large quantity
of crystal.
Then he starts ranting about how annoyed he was that the kid had to stay with him instead of
grandma because grandma's house was where they usually cooked and he couldn't smoke crystal when the
kid was around. Then he asks us if we wanted to buy any and he could get us a great deal on bulk meth. Like this came out within 15 minutes of us sitting down with a pitcher of beer. My other coworkers and I all are looking at each going, what in the actual fuck? Single quote. Lol, we weren't prudes. Half of us smoked reefer, but WTF. We killed that pitcher in 5 minutes flat and all pieced out immediately while he went to grab another. He must have had enough synapses firing to realize he had perhaps shared too much information, because he didn't show up for work the next day. Didn't call in sick, give notice, nothing, just Mia. Normally that's just a dick move to the others who have to cover your hours, but this fucking guy, he went home with a company truck,
laptop, and cell phone.
A very sensitive piece of equipment. I stated earlier that one of the things soils techs do is measure soil density on sites. This was done with a Troxler nuclear densometer.
Yes, it's radioactive.
You have to register this device with U.S. nuclear regulatory agencies. People who use them wear a card that measures how much you've been exposed to, which gets sent out to said agencies quarterly for testing.
You have to log where the device goes, and if you lose one, your engineering firm is fucked.
Oh, and they're expensive. Like 6 figures expensive. And this dude just decided to roll home with his. 2 days go by and our president and principal engineers are losing their shit because they are going to have called the feds to report it missing, which will start an investigation that will likely shut us down. One of the engineers half-jokingly suggested we hire a private investigator to see if we could track him down, and our president immediately tasked me with this. This was the late 90s, so I actually looked someone up in the motherfucking yellow pages, lol.
The pie shows up at our business and starts asking us questions.
Looking at his hiring paperwork, we checked his home address. It was his mom's, and she basically told us to tell him to fuck off if we find him. And then getting an inventory of the items he stole. The second he saw the phone and carrier, he got excited. We were using the latest and greatest Blackberries of the time, and apparently that iteration had a GPS chip. He logged into a special page dedicated to Leos. No idea how he had access. Punched in the phone an IMEI number, and I'll be damned if it did pull up a location not too far from us. He then asked if we wanted to call the police, but we said no thank you. Paid him, and 3 of us drove to the area and started looking for the truck. Took us 10 minutes to find it parked in the driveway of some trap house, complete with a big neon yellow lockbox covered in danger and radiation symbols. We knock on the door, which was already open, and walk to find this fucking guy sitting down,
playing some PlayStation with a couple friends with a smoking bong in the middle of them.
Weirdly enough, the dude was wearing slacks, button-up shirt and tie like he did at work. Anyways, he sees us just staring at him, speechless, and just says, "Oh hey. That wasn't working out, so I was going to call in and quit. When do you want me to drop my gear off?" Single quote.
3 of us look at each other trying find the words, but the engineer who came with us said, "Just
give me the keys to the truck, you asshole." Barely looks up from the TV and tosses them over. Not proud of it, but I kicked that fucking glass bong on the way out and watched it smash against the wall. I know.
Dude, you never break a bong, but I needed to do something for my satisfaction.
He worked there for 5 days total.
Found out that they are very expensive.
My wife was planning a surprise birthday party. The US Gov hired one for my security clearance. They found nothing.
I told them about a juvenile felony I had,
and they said they did find any records on it. Gave me a bit of hope that the Gov can't actually see everything, lol. Not me.
A friend of mine in US got a pie hired against him.
It was his mother-in-law who hired the pie. The mill hated his guts, and my friend isn't from US. He's working in Silicon Valley as a software engineer and trying to get his US residence through his American wife. Even after 2 kids, the mill was still insisting to get him deported. She caused all kinds of trouble. Even though her daughter asked her many times to stop it, or she will never talk to her again. Every time she promises she will. But then they figure there's a new police chase after him. The mill plotted all kinds of shit. Drug possession, gun possession, kidnapping of his own kids, living in US illegally. He's legal, and finally belonging to a terrorist group. The pie was hired to dig some dirt. Anything that can be useful. My friend is pretty boring. The only shit you would find against him is his shitty code. Not me, but my mom's ex-husband had one hired against him in 2006. He had gotten injured at work, worked construction and wound up with a broken back which didn't heal correctly, causing him to sue the company and also need to be put on disability. The company he'd worked for did believe it was as bad as he had claimed, so they wanted to find out if he was lying. All in all, they dug up nothing. Years later, 2015, my and him were proceeding with a divorce since he began abusing pain meds, alcohol, and other
illegal
substances.
When I was helping my mom clean out the house to sell it, we came across a notebook
with his plan in it. He had been injured on the job and it really wasn't as bad as he had said. He had paid someone to make it worse so he could sue and get a big payoff, but didn't plan on it not healing correctly.
I had always kind of suspected,
especially since he would sometimes use his injury to his advantage of why he couldn't do things so someone else couldn't do them.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.